Today we are talking about INDEPENDENCE. Do you know what that means? We're talking independence.
Yes, in celebration of the 4th of July Independence Day holiday here in the U.S. Today it's about the energy of independence. It's a short episode, but stay tuned. We want you alongside us for this fun one.
Hi, we're sisters Kay and Shi, and we're the hosts of the Infinite Energy Podcast.
We believe that everyone has the power to live a more energized, optimistic, and fulfilling life.
In every episode, we share tips and techniques for harnessing your own power and creating the life you deserve.
Get ready to ignite and discover the limitless power of infinite energy.
We looked at the calendar and it turns out that drop day for the Infinite Energy Podcast is the 4th of July. So hey, happy Independence Day, everybody.
If you are here in the U.S., you are celebrating what most people call the U.S.'s birthday, 277 this year. Don't quote me on that. It's around that range. What I am excited about is that we all get to celebrate. If you're outside of the U.S., let's face it, you're probably still hearing about this holiday because the U.S. headlines rule the world headlines. But wherever you are in the world, know that we're celebrating this Independence Day. And more importantly, we're celebrating the energy of independence.
Now, we're coming at you today with a little bit of a short form episode because we know as it is the 4th that you probably have plans to get off and out to. You are in the energy of celebration that we covered last week. And so we want to give you a little bit of juice and get you on your way.
That's why we're covering this in a short episode. And independence, it's that feeling, but we can't go much further without giving you that one and only definition of the day.
Come on now, bring it out. Let's talk about the definition of independence. The first, and I think we're going to give just this one definition today because it's so good and it's so important. Free from outside control, not depending on another's authority.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Right? So simple, so powerful, so basically and baseline necessary for most of us as human beings, that inner drive to feel the freedom to do, be, and say, and have what we want, of course, in the confines of our own moral codes and belief behaviors. But I love this idea that we're not being dependent on others. And that doesn't mean we don't have dependence, because we do, right? We all need others. But that ability to say, I will be responsible for myself and my actions, regardless of what's happening, is my fault or not.
Right. It is the inner authority to be your own authority and to be free from control. Now, the United States of America was built off of a dream of independence. As many of you know, the story of the birth of our nation, we had immigrants that came over from the United Kingdom, from all the places in Europe, but definitely the United Kingdom was where they were flooding in from Britain at the time. And fiercely, as Britain had said that this is now going to be a British colony, the independent people who had made their way over to the New World said, you know what? We want to be free from the control and authority of the island across the sea.
Right. And not only that, but we want to be free from a monarchy, right? This was a completely revolutionary idea that there was going to be some kind of new economic system existing outside of a monarchy. And truly, what has emerged for the U.S. is unique, and it's been a world leader. Has it been without its dirty, ugly marks upon its historic record? No, it has not. There are many ugly, dirty, historic marks on there. But the truth is, our country really stands for something incredible, and it hadn't been done. So it's worth celebrating that fact that independence was, in and of itself, in this new way we understand it, at least from a national perspective, really born with the U.S. just a few hundred years ago.
Now, many of you know, if you've been followers of Shyla and I for basically any amount of time, that we love the Revolutionary War history, mostly due to our absolute obsession with the musical Hamilton and the story of Alexander Hamilton and the founding of our country. Now, it is just so incredible, but one of the things that a line from this musical that I absolutely love, I know that we both really love, is that this idea where he says, it's our independence is full of contradictions. contradictions, right? Independence is this idea of wanting to be free from outside control, but in order to achieve true independence at a societal level, it has to also have rules as a part of it that we say, what are the morals that we're all going to play by? And then being independent within that discipline. So it's so interesting, the contradictions that get brought forward. It's not this perfect, shining, golden thing. Independence is something that is fought for, is worked on, is shaped as time goes on and as people push and pull authority back and forth.
Right? Because we think about all of the different layers that there are that can be independence as a nation, as we talked about, independence as a state, as a family, as an individual, right? As a company. There's so many different ways that we can express independence. And I love that you hearkened back to, our true love. Hamilton. It's just, a poor Christian, our producer. We had so many Hamilton quotes leading into this, and we were nonstop quoting.
We were nonstop. I mean, like earlier, it was hard for me not to say, how can a tiny island across the sea regulate the price of tea?
Right, because all of these are Hamilton quotes. So for our fellow Hamilheads out there, that is the official name for the fan club. We know that you are enjoying this. For those of you who are like, what are they talking about? The musical of Hamilton, for me, really brought to life the fight that had to go in for the nation's independence. And then when I think about the movement of women and the fight that had to go in for them to gain the independence, to be considered equal, at least on a legal standpoint, to men. And then you think about the fight that individuals go through to fight to get independence from their parents, right? This is something we've all gone through, right? And so these levels. But when we see the story in Hamilton, what brought that forward for me was how messy, how long, how difficult, how hard, how insanely not realistic it was what they were doing and how hard it was for them, right? It's so easy to read the history books now. And my understanding of sort of the Revolutionary War, like lots of soldiers died, cutting off limbs without anesthesics, right? Like that's a thing that stuck with me as like a middle schooler learning about Revolutionary War and like new gun warfare and those kinds of things. And okay, the Boston Tea Party, and okay, Hamilton died in a duel with Burr, but then to see it come to life and to understand what independence in a visceral, real, literal life or death way meant to the founding fathers and the founding folks of our country, it gives me a new appreciation for it. That's for sure.
Well, we even see how the freedom that then got fought for, only 100 years later, 110 years later, when the movement came to free slaves in our nation and to move into that level of independence for the Black population of the Southern Americas, right? That transition of independence almost broke our nation, even though the nation was built on a foundation of a desire for freedom of control, right? But it was freedom of control for a certain set of people. And so Black individuals, African Americans that were brought over had to fight for their freedom, and other European and white individuals had to fight alongside them in order for them to gain that freedom, had to fight for them. Women had to have men that fought with them and bravely stood up, and had to fight against other women who wanted to hold them down, right? Even as near as the 70s, thinking about the fact that a fight had to ensue so that women could get credit cards and could purchase their own homes, right? So this idea that we have to fight fiercely for independence. And guess what? It even comes down to the micro level. Don't you sometimes feel like you have to fight for independence from your own thinking? Do you ever find yourself totally on a runaway train of emotions that you feel like you can't control? Sometimes you're fighting for your own independence from your own inner self.
Yeah, I'm fighting for independence from this little devicey poo here.
That's why we're controlling the scroll, baby.
That's exactly why we're controlling the scroll, so that we can protect and stand guard at the gates of our own independence and truly be the shepherd to our lives, right? We all get a life energy, a life torch to carry. And we hope, like the Statue of Liberty, that you carry yours with pride and standing for something. And on this celebratory day of Independence Day, though it be messy, we celebrate it all the same. And we are excited for what it means in the future as we continue to understand the depth of independence on that personal personal level, on that societal level, and on the world level.
We hope that you've enjoyed this little mini-sode today on Independence Day as we discuss the energy of independence. And as you move into your holiday week, as you move into your summer, maybe bring the spirit of independence, freedom of control of authority, maybe from the negative patterns in your life, from people in your life that bring you down, from influences that aren't serving you, and so much more. Remember that today's episode comes at you with so much independent love from your sisters, Kay and Shi.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Bye.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.